Hello, class. It's Tuesday and it's about 10 degrees outside if you are in Chicago. So if you're here, I hope you're keeping warm. And I'm here with a short video about what's going on this week to supplement your learnings. Excuse me. So let's dive right in. So you're supposed to read a couple of chapters this week. One talking about the analysis of your digital ecosystem, and the other talking about key metrics, particularly ROI and return on other metrics. So really quickly, kind of keeping it brief because we all know attention spans in the digital space are getting smaller and smaller. Just had to throw that in there. For the ecosystem, now, if you're a really large company, you probably have a good finger on the pulse, right? I'm sure Nike has a good finger on the pulse of their digital marketing efforts. I hope they do at least. But for smaller to medium-sized companies or companies that are just starting out, it's really important to do an assessment of the digital ecosystem. We cannot be everywhere, right? We cannot be on every platform. And we probably shouldn't. It's a waste of time and energy and possibly money, right? So think of all the social media platforms alone that are out there, right? Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, we'll throw LinkedIn in there, Pinterest, TikTok. There's so many that we need to be strategic in where we are. And that's just social media, right? We also have display ads that we're doing. We're sending emails out. We're doing pay-per-click. So we need to be strategic and look at the ecosystem and figure out where we should be and what we should be doing in each place. We need to look at all of the platforms and figure out who's there and will those platforms serve us based on our brand and who we're targeting. So I gave some examples in the class that I teach face-to-face, thinking of like an ice cream shop. So we were kind of joking around saying, obviously, an ice cream shop wouldn't it probably not necessarily be on LinkedIn if they're just looking to grow their brand in the neighborhood or throughout like Chicagoland, for example. So the ice cream shop was going to be on Facebook, on Instagram. They were going to pass on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter for sure. Possibly Instagram if they were going to post maybe some party ideas or show how they can host a party for you. So you get the idea, right? We want to be strategic in where we are because time is money. And so we have to manage all of this. And then also we only have so much budget, right? Typically a digital marketing budget is less than 10% of the company's revenue. So we don't have a lot of money necessarily. So please read that chapter, as I always want you to read all the chapters, and let me know if you have any questions. But overall, I think it'll make sense, especially given that last week we talked about brand analysis and audience analysis. I combined them there. Because once you've done that, then you can look at your ecosystem and figure out where you need to be. Excuse me. And so the next chapter is about ROI. And this is where the rubber meets the road, right? If you'll recall in digital strategy and planning, if you've taken that course, or maybe you were in it with me last term, I stress that digital marketing is often considered an expense by companies because we have to spend money to do it, right? We're paying for pay-per-click, we're paying for Facebook ads. But that I encourage you to realize and show that it is an investment, right? It is investment in your brand and your awareness and increasing sales ultimately. And so in order to show that it's investment, we have to show the ROI. And so as digital marketers, from our perspective as the actual digital marketing team or department within a company, ROI is very important to us, yes. But we're also interested in a lot of other things, right? Because we're working really hard to make exceptional content, videos, photos, social media posts and things like that. So we want to measure other things as well to know if we're on the right track with what we're doing. So yes, ROI is what the CEO cares about, the finance department cares about, the person in charge of your budget cares about, and you absolutely need to look at that because ultimately it's what determines if your spend is worth it, right? But as digital marketers, we also want to understand what's our return on engagement. If we have 1 million people liking our Facebook page and only 4 people comment on a post or a dozen like a post, we're not getting a lot of return on engagement. And so our efforts there are a bit wasted. Either it's not being seen or it's not resonating. And now things are becoming more and more pay to play. And so with that in mind, it is harder to get your to get engagement, right? Time is precious. We know we don't have a lot of attention span. We know organic search is dropping immensely because it's all pay to play. So if we're going to pay to play, we need to calculate that we are doing it the right way. But again, as digital marketers, we want to look at other metrics that let us know that our content and our strategy in terms of reaching people is working as well. So the book also talks about return on engagement, which I just mentioned, return on influence, and return on experience. Return on experience is pretty tricky to calculate. So there's not a lot of stock put into that one, but return on engagement, there absolutely is. And for the discussion, I'm sorry, not the discussion, for the assignment, because there is an assignment due this week, it asks you to calculate those for a major company who's on at least 2 social platforms. Now, when you do that, first of all, have at least 2 pages of content, because what we're looking for in this assignment is not necessarily real metrics. You're probably not going to be able to get real metrics, so you'll have to do some assumptions. You'll be able to get real metrics in terms of you'll know how many Facebook page subscribers they have or YouTube subscribers they have, but you'll have to do some fuzzy math. But I'm not concerned as much about the math, like the answers. I want to know which metrics you chose, why you chose them, and then how you would calculate them. And you can use dummy numbers to show me that, okay? So that's what I'm more concerned about. I want you to be able to work in a marketing department and understand the value of these metrics, which one to look at, why you're looking at that, and how to calculate it. So even if you don't have real numbers, make them up, use what you can get through the social media pages of these businesses. But I'm looking for the how, the what, how, and why more so. Okay, so definitely read the chapters. The ROI one in particular will tell you how to calculate return on engagement for social media, which is part of your assignment. So be sure to look at that. I think it's pages 101 and 102. And then I also gave you a link to an ROI example that I thought was really great. I walked through it with the face-to-face class Monday night. So be sure to go through that exercise as well. It's a great real world example of a company with multiple digital platforms and how they determine their overall ROI. Okay, I'm over 8 minutes, so I've gone too long. So I hope you watched all the way through, especially with the important information about your assignments. And I will check back in with you for discussions and contribute to those later this week. All right, email me if you have any questions as always, and have a great week.